You know what the gavel means. We're calling this meeting to order. We'll start with a roll call and determination of quorum. Ken Kosky, I am present. Josh Hendrickson.
Here.
Victoria Radcliffe.
Here.
Radcliffe. Mispronounce that. Chrissy Robertson.
Here.
Dave Windish.
Here.
Vicky Notwell. Danny Causey. Absent. Christy Locke.
Here.
Nick Christofoli.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Thank you. I think rather than following the agenda in its order, we might as well elect the new officers. So if we have a different officer in place, that person would conduct the meeting. So at this time, we'll move to 6A, election of officers, and we'll start with president. Does anybody have a nomination for president?
I nominate Ken Kosky.
Yeah, second.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, all in favor of Ken Kosky?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Also maybe aye, but no. All right, Ken is president. He's talking to himself in the third person, which is weird, but you guys chose him. We'll move on to vice president. Any nominations for vice president?
Who is the vice president?
I'll nominate Josh
Oh,
again.
ouch. Who's the
I'll
vice
nominate the
president?
forgotten man, Josh.
Second.
Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Josh. I love you, man. Not everybody does, but whatever.
No,
I'm new here. Give me some time to learn it.
All right, secretary, our current secretary was Holly, who's been replaced by Victoria. So just for background. At this point, I'll accept nominations for secretary. Hearing none, I'll nominate her to continue the role. A second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Victoria. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, yes, aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, it passes.
in the rule. Don't worry, they'll forget you.
All right, so now we'll move on
That's okay.
to approval of minutes. You all had a chance to review the minutes from the December 12th meeting. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I will motion to approve.
Dave?
Second.
Second by Josh. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are into the record. We'll move on to committee reports. The biggest project that the Community Art Committee has been working on is obviously the stars. After 4 years of being up in the Art Craft Alley are too tattered to be put up for another season. So we're pivoting to kites, and rather than having them fabric, which would degrade more quickly, we've got this polycarbonate material, which I have a member on my board who served in the military, and he said they use these as windows, and you can throw rocks at them and everything, and they don't break. So we're very pleased with this material. I'll send one down each way, just so you get an idea of the material and what they could look like. This particular one has a tail. I think they would all have a tail to give some vertical interest.
Look at that.
Pretty heavy. Do you want to explain how to hang?
So they will hang flat with the decorated side down. So when you walk in the alley, you'll see all these colorful flags.
Yeah.
They'll be like, the concept that we have is these colors. I'll first show it to this side.
Got 'em.
Oh, they're also up there on the board.
Eventually.
So the concept is to not have it look exactly like the last one, which was more colorful. This is more classy and subdued, and we would have planters of those same colors to kind of make the alley cohesive. So that's the initial design, and we would have the top row, which is plain, but looks like kites, and then a bottom row, which says Franklin, and is also like the two-tone, like in Danny's mural by the railroad tracks. Do you want to show the overhead view of how they would be interspersed? Yeah, so that's a general view. So that's the view you would see from the ground looking up, and then obviously the tails would provide some interest that we didn't have coming in the vertical plane.
I don't think they're not directly flat. They're angled just a little bit correct so that
Yes.
the water will be able.
Yeah, so when they hang, you can see they come a little bit this way so that the water will come off, and if there's snow, it would slide off as well.
Size.
I think so. They're hanging in the alley now.
No, I mean, that thing is the actual size?
What's that?
That's the prototype, the actual size?
Yeah,
That-
this is an actual
Okay.
one, so there'd be about, I think, 180 of these, or
Ah,
however many
okay.
is in the drawing.
Is it the same amount of flags as there are stars?
Yes, but only because we started with 200 stars, but then when it had to be taken down because the art craft, when we put it back up, we made it easier to take down by removing a few of them so that you could have easy to remove turnbuckles. So I think there was currently like 180 stars at the time they were taken down the last time.
And there's going to be extras of these made, just like we did with the stars, correct, Ken? There's going to be a few extras so that should something happen to one, we do have a few replacements, which is the same thing they did with the stars.
Yeah.
I noticed there was a couple already hanging up in the alley. Was that just like a stress test or something?
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, they hung them up at the site so that you could see how they performed, and they're performing awesome. They look just like they did the day they were installed, so we'll obviously keep them up. The second option that has been presented, so you see how these are kind of flat in nature? We have the option to pay a little more, and I'll pass that down, and to put that glittery coating on, which would really catch the light. And when we put the black lights on them at night, it would really catch that. And
I'm pro glitter,
oh,
always.
I'm normally not pro glitter, but that's pretty bad to the bone.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
When they were laying it out, did you guys look at like what it would be like if they weren't all just in a straight line, like maybe different directions? Just kind of curious.
Oh, so hang, huh?
It just
No.
seems really rigid, you know, like
Interesting.
like very like everything going the same way.
So you have some going one way. Do you mean like a whole row or just like
Oh.
random
Random?
throughout?
Yeah,
Like, just randomly?
Random directions.
I'll defer to the artist mind
That.
of
Yeah.
like you and Dave, like is-
Yeah.
I think it does,
Kites are like,
yeah, kites do have a, like she says, that they have a
Yeah.
natural movement.
yeah,
Just putting them in a row is,
eggs, that might be what might.
yeah, I like that
It's-
idea.
it-
I do
To
too.
add to your term of, I think you said
Change directions,
classy
you gotta
and
be-
something else, it kind of also is boring.
Yeah,
So, like,
It
I
also
like the
doesn't.
bright colors. I think the bright colors are fun and necessary, and we have these blue and golds and grays all over town everywhere. And we're going from a nice fluorescent bright alleyway to blues and golds and all of that. And if we stay with this color pattern, that's great, but let's do something a little to make it more fluid.
I like it.
Ch-
the good thing is-
Changing, I was just gonna say,
Okay, go ahead.
changing the direction of the flags, I think,
Turn it down there.
also doesn't dictate the flow as much. Like, I assume they were hanging as if you were walking from Main Street down. But if we're working on people walking through those alleys, if we don't give it a specific, excuse me, flow, maybe that would encourage, I don't know. I'm sure this is a subconscious kind of feeling, but to not dictate which way people are going through the alley.
No, that's why we bring these things to, a lot of times this starts at a committee of people that aren't artists, and then we bring it to you, and that's when we get the good stuff and
This might be a dumb question, because I haven't been over there. I didn't know there were already some up. So how high, how low do they hang? And like from across the street, can you, because how it's tilted, can you see the pattern on the bottom, or does it just look like white things hanging?
oh no, you could, like, when the stars were up, it just
Okay.
like, it was like boom from any direction. It like,
Yeah,
it was like a sea of fluorescent stars. So it'll be the same way
okay.
with these, yeah. You'll see-
Okay, you can see
you'll
the bottom of it, like how it's from like across, okay.
Yeah.
And how low do the tails of the kites hang?
They're approximately 12 inches. So we're going to put one of these prototypes with the tail out
Okay.
there and then get some high school kids to come up and,
I was gonna say, because I will walk down that alley every day and be like, ooh, like a cat.
yeah.
Well, okay, wait, that leads to another question. If we change directions of them, if we make it like, ooh, sorry, if they make it like all different directions, the way they tilt, if say one's like facing backwards, would it just show white, like towards Main Street?
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
You
makes
know what I mean, how it tilts like that? So if we do change like all the directions in theory, like some would be facing out and you'd see the color towards Main Street, and then some of them would be tilting like away.
It's possible.
Is there any way to like make the wrap like up on the edges, or is that not possible?
I think,
So the edges aren't white, is what you're saying?
Yeah, you know, because or like at least the back too. Maybe the back's just the solid color, just so if it's like, you know, tilted like that facing away from Main Street, it's not like some blue, some just backs of it that are white.
I'll
Does that
have
make
to.
sense?
Oh, it makes sense. I'll have
Okay.
to ask about that. Like, that will add to the cost. So,
Right.
Which is not to say we shouldn't explore it. It's just
Yeah.
right now we've got a grant and
Yeah,
some matching
yeah.
funding, and if we did that, I think we would not have the funding this time. But
I get it. Okay.
So if we can't do that, if that's gonna add too much to the cost, and we need to reconsider colors, what would be your color thoughts? Trying to keep it not looking exactly like the stars. What's an option?
yeah, that might actually be a good direction to.
Yeah,
turn it
if
this-
that's the
this way.
case, because Victoria's right, she's got a good point about that.
My first thought is we can make it more sporadic, but still have them all face out towards Main Street. So the way they tilt the color is still facing out, but maybe not having them in neat rows.
So maybe just offset them 2 inches this way and 2 inches
Yeah,
that way. And a
but
little,
it's still, you know, there's none that are facing backwards, so that the way it tilts, it's not facing out.
and that way the tails would also be a little offset, so that you
Yeah.
could kind of see more of them because they wouldn't all be in a row. They'd be 2 inches off, or
Yeah,
they'd be straight.
almost like staggered, like my brain goes how you put cookies on a cookie sheet. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's up here, and then there's here, and then there's here, and then there's here, and it's kind of like staggered like that.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I think that would actually solve your concern if they weren't completely spun around, but if they were just tilt.
Yeah, just
That doesn't solve yours, Chris. Okay.
This looks like a military lineup or something. Like just so like kites. I feel like are like
Looks nautical.
you know.
So your goal would be from the Main Street view to see color and also to see a randomness to it. So maybe the company, if you come up with what your goal is, then the company could say, offer solutions to how to achieve it. If I got that right, I don't know what the specific goal.
Well, we are the company in
Oh,
that
okay.
we get to pick what the creative looks like. So we have the concept, and I think everybody likes the concept of kites, but it's, now we can pick the design and the color. And if this is too boring and navy-ish, maybe we've pivoted too far to try to not be like the previous one. Maybe we've gone too far.
So what are your guys' thoughts on color? I'd love to hear both sides.
My first thought is to change, like keeping the navy and yellow, but changing that brown and gray color maybe to maybe more. I don't know what would go with those other two, but maybe making those a bit more vibrant or colorful, then still keeps it like, you know, on Franklin themed, but looks less like, I'm gonna be honest, I went to Franklin College. This looks like Franklin College. Like I would assume like that's just Franklin College, which obviously is a part of Franklin, but maybe changing the tan and gray, more vibrant, would make it look less Franklin College, and then also maybe add some vibrancy to those. If we're not wanting to change the blue and yellow altogether, but if we are, then, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the art district colors are, like, the colors in the logo could be an option to look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, like, having some other brighter colors. I love classy things as well, so I get what, like, you're trying, but I do think, like, if you want it to be something that pops, you do want some brighter colors in there.
Does anybody have where's our logo?
There you go.
That's what I was looking for, so.
So the logo already has blue and yellow. If we added teal and red, that would actually,
Blue, yellow, teal, and red.
Dave?
That's what I was thinking, if we wanted to incorporate those colors, the blue and yellow of the logo are just variants of what's already in here, so you're staying within that same palette.
Could-
And you throw in that red or, that reddish color that we have as well, then you've got a lot of things covered.
If we incorporate the district colors, would it make sense, like some of these say Franklin, would it make sense to add literally the art
Add the
district logo
on one
on
or
those
two
as
of them.
well?
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
I was
I don't
definitely,
think people are gonna know what those colors are without us telling them.
I was definitely thinking that at the entrance, we would have a kite that's just on the post or on the building that says, thank you to the people that activated this alley, and it would be this logo, Festival Country gives money, if the grant folks give
Right,
money.
right.
Then it would, so it would already be there, but I have no issue with putting this logo on a few of the kites, so when you walk through, you see some with a key, you see some with this logo.
I like that.
This is also, sorry, in the first meeting, and I have so many questions. With how high they are, is there, like, I guess there are some already hanging up there. Can you read where it says Franklin, like, on the kite, or is it, like, hard to read?
Yeah, because from here it's distracting.
Tiny.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, with how high it is from far away, is it eligible,
yeah,
or,
I
sorry,
mean-
legible?
Bobby,
On a close
can I
up.
enlist you as a volunteer to go ahead and
Yeah.
grab one of these and
Oh,
take it to
true.
where you are? Let's see, it would be about
Does that one have?
12 feet, so walk about 12 feet away. Right about there.
Yeah. I can read Franklin, but maybe not so much
I can't
the-
read the
below
established.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I can see the key for sure, so I like that.
Yeah, I like the key.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to think about, if we do put the, like, the PAC logo, making sure, like, somewhere on there, there's a spot where it's big enough that people could read it.
It has to be like the size of the key. It has to be
Yeah.
on like one side or something.
Probably, yeah.
It's a really good spot for picture taking for the seniors and everything, and I hope the fact that it says Franklin doesn't deter around surrounding kids to come and get their picture taken for their senior thing.
Thank you.
I get what you're saying.
So,
Yeah,
I don't
so,
know.
It's a good thought.
I think what we could potentially do is have the first few rows just be reserved for ones that don't say Franklin or our logo, and just intersperse those, so if you walk the alley, then you go like, oh, I'm seeing who brought this project to fruition, and I think that serves both masters, maybe.
Well, and your idea of putting one on the front, like the entrance into it, I think that,
Yeah.
you know, and people don't, that won't be in,
You could even put
Photo.
it like sideways on one of like the buildings or something, so that it's like not in every shot.
right.
Because, I mean, I would be providing funding, I don't know if I'd want that in my Instagrammable moment. But- Yes. I know, I was gonna motion you
know,
over there.
there's-
Yep.
So if the kites are at a little bit of an angle, like, that was my concern, what Victoria brought up was, like, you're gonna see white. So I think, like, coming from North Main Street, they would be tilted for you to see, but you have to also think, like, a lot of traffic comes from the opposite direction. And so if they're tilted a little bit, it's gonna be all white. I'm just worried
So we should, halfway through the alley, make a peak and have those going down, so either way you come,
Oh, it, like meets in the middle?
yeah, like, so they're not gonna tilt that much, it's very slight, but I like your idea of like, when you get part of the way in the alley, flip them around so that when you're coming from the Elks Lodge, you get that same cool view where they're coming down and you see the splashes of color, not the white.
We still need to think about what Chrissy's saying with completely flipping them and, because I see what she's saying with that now. That
And
does
you'd
make
have coming and
sense.
going that way.
Yeah, I think that kind of,
Here's the,
What are the stars up now? I can't remember.
What about this?
How are they colored?
They're kind of, oh, there are
Neon.
four.
they're all like neon colors.
they're made of fabric, so you don't,
Oh,
you don't have
gotcha,
to.
gotcha, I forgot. Yeah. So they're drenched with color then, okay.
I hadn't really thought about that with the flat.
I hadn't either. They need to be.
Go
I've
ahead.
got one comment, and I just wanted to give you a heads up. I was walking down through the Art Craft Alley last week, and you've got a regular group of tween boys out for the evening, and they love to use the structure as a jungle gym. So, yeah, definitely get your high schoolers out there, seeing if they can grab those tails. 'Cause right now, there's nothing on the structure, and they're
Of course they are.
I got them to move on, but it's just, it's a popular alleyway and all kinds of things.
Maybe we put some fake cameras up.
A few guard dogs out there for a few days.
Okay, so I think we've got our, we're going to incorporate the logo colors. We're going to keep the yellow and navy, but incorporate then the teal and red. And we're going to change the tilt halfway through the alley so you get a visual going either way. And we're going to offset them slightly so the tail is there, there, and there, just a few inches of variance.
Is that better?
Anything else?
Just thinking about the material a little bit more, I know you guys probably already looked at like the cost difference of the material that we used on the stars compared to this. Like, what is that different? Is this a lot more expensive?
No, it's actually cheaper and will last twice as long, 3 times as long. So like Josh can attest, I had to visit the alley every week and replace a couple stars. And we had to take it down, we had to pay them to take it down in the fall and the spring. Take it down and then put it back up. This will be able to stay up year-round, so it's like, it'll be like so much more cost-effective.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any way to use like banner material or something more fluid. I don't know. These just seem, it's obviously
Concerned,
going to
just think
last.
they're too rigid? Is that what you're concerned
Yeah,
about?
they seem really rigid.
Okay.
And then, and I agree with the concern about all the white.
Okay.
That's kind of why we added the tails, and these are going to be treated with the black light paint, so at night.
And
these
they're
are all
supposed to
gonna
be
like
alternating
waving.
colors too. They're not gonna be white tails. They're supposed to be different color tails. But I like the ideas of changing those colors.
Because they're like the banners, obviously, those are lasting a long time.
Yeah.
That-
Those are crazy lasting. Those are awesome.
Don't want to go back to the
Good
drawing
point.
board with that, but it could solve that concern with the color.
Well, I mean, ultimate goal would be to like, once we're doing a phase on the Veterans Alley, it would be cool to eventually do phase 3, I guess it would be on that alley, and that could be some like fabric or something overhead as well, because it would be the one alley that doesn't have anything overhead. I've been to some places where the fabric is like really done nice and it adds the effect. I also think this is like unique. I've never seen this anywhere. I've seen umbrellas a lot of places. That seems to be the go-to for people that do something overhead.
When are we hoping to get these up? Is that like when it's warm?
This spring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
so
spring.
we're hoping to get approval of not only the concept, but some slight funding from this body. And then I've secured Festival Country funding. Dana's got a grant. Once that grant comes in, then we could say, Expo, start making these things and have them up.
What we could do, Ken, if we could get Expo to go back and kind of redo the drawing with these different colors and kind of do another one of these renderings with kind of the offsets a little bit, and then we can send it out to everybody and kind of let you guys get another view. I think the main thing is, for the purposes of the grant, I had to give them a concept and had to give them so they have the concept of the kites. But if we're going back in and changing the things that we talked about today, that's not going to affect the grant. The grant's already been submitted, so that's done. But I don't think it would affect that any. I don't think it'll affect Festival Country, will it? if we
No,
make
no, no,
these?
no.
So it's just a matter of us as a body deciding this is the direction and this, this is kind of what it wants to look like. But it's like I said, we can send it out to you guys all again. I mean, none of these changes are huge, and then talk to them too about the concern with the white on the back, and they may have a different, they may have a suggestion that we haven't even thought of yet too. Because those are things I hadn't thought of, so I'm really glad you guys brought them all up.
Yeah,
Really-
is white always the default?
Right.
Yes.
They might be able to start with a material that's not white and then just,
Apparently, white is the cost-effective one.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So, but no, that's a good question.
but I'll
that-
ask if they have
Yeah.
like a yellow or a blue that they could
Or-
start with for a certain percentage.
Yeah, a variety that would.
Yeah.
The color
Yeah.
of the flag or the kite. And would you change planter colors then too? You would include the other?
Yeah, we could, I think they have a teal planter and a red.
Do you remember, Krista?
They totally have teal. And we already have red and yellow.
Okay.
I think we have yellow already, don't we? We have yellow. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So it might actually be a, well, maybe move a couple of those somewhere else and get a couple to carry out this theme.
Yeah, we got like the blue one and, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay,
So it sounds like, in summary, change colors and alternate the hanging pattern.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And add the logo of the organization, or
Add
organization.
the logo, and what about,
And
what did
figure
you
out the
guys
top
think
color.
about the glittery? Did that make a difference, not make a difference?
Is that a significant cost change? Do we know that?
That's a couple thousand. I think it'd be worth it, especially when we black light it at night, to have it just like go
I
boom.
like it.
You like
it
it?
needs
Good.
As long as it's not cost, it's cost prohibitive, then
Yeah.
no, but.
No,
if
I don't, it's really
then I think
not.
it's great.
Okay, so what we need is a motion to approve, what we need from this organization is $1,500 contribution. So a motion to approve the general concept and $1,500 funding, and then we will circle back and get you the new renderings, and we'll all agree on that before we move forward. So,
Does it need an amendment to include the circle back?
yeah, you could make a motion that, I motion to approve the general concept and $1,500 funding pending approval via email of the revised concept.
You're gonna
moved.
have to help me with this.
So moved.
Okay, so moved.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Very good. I think that's all I have for community art. We can turn it then to Josh, and he can tell us what that group's working on.
I would imagine ethos is kind of what we're doing for community.
yes,
So,
that's
you
probably.
guys
the
ready
head
for
one.
another fun discussion? Dana, you seem better prepared for this than I do, but
Pass it off.
basically, ethos was scheduled to be the
21st.
21st of June. That conflicts. So it's already been sent out to the artists. This is a known date, not just
Right.
for the pack. But it's come to our attention that is the same date as the Talbot Street Art Festival. If you're familiar with that, it's a big one. So we need to figure out
Yeah, I mean, we're already
what
getting
happens now.
responses back from artists who have said, we've come to Ethos, we would love to come to Ethos, but it's the same week as Talbot Street. If they're gonna choose one, and I get it, Talbot's much more established, so.
We have a few options. I'm not sure who all received the emails about those. Most of those dates are basically the rest of June. There is a July date as well, consensus at this point. I don't think anybody was leaning towards moving it out of June. But we do need to figure out how we solve this problem, and we probably need to figure that out soon because submissions are open. And I believe there are some submissions already.
6.
So
We do
that
have
would
6
affect those people.
submissions. Right.
The dates, I don't have it in front of me, but I know the following week is a strong option, but that is the same week, same day, I believe, as the FHI's Secret Garden walk, which is a lot of the same artists will participate in both of those events. My concern is a strong word. My concern is that those two events will pull from each other. And also, I'm not sure what FHI's opinion is of of us coming. The other options would be, I believe, the week or the week before that, essentially.
I would suggest not the 7th. That is the day we have the Cruise in the Amp and concert, our summer concert series. So not only will we have a concert, but we will have all of the cars, the Cruise in.
Ethos is it.
Oh, you're right. During the day,
early,
we start at
so-
like 3 or 4 bringing cars in. So I don't know
This
how
ends
that
at
would.
4.
Okay,
Ethos is
okay,
4.
okay.
And you're
then it's not a
doing
big
all the
deal.
cars at the amphitheater,
Yes.
not on North Main. You don't need North Main, right?
Correct, yeah.
Complimentary.
Okay, that's true, yeah.
So regarding an official statement from FHI, I am not here to do that. I will give my opinion as a marketing director that it sounds like a fantastic idea to tie the two together because one is a walking tour that starts at the theater and the other is in front of the theater. That's solely from my marketing standpoint. The events crew that will make this decision are out of town and will be back tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, Friday. So we have to wait until they return to hear an official statement regarding this. As an outsider and as a marketing person, I don't think that they would detract from each other. I think that they would benefit from each other.
And Dave, just to clarify, you're talking about June 28th, correct?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, June 28th.
I will say from my standpoint as a consumer, I don't go to every festival or event, but I can't miss Ethos and I can't miss the walking tours. And so I guess my personality agrees with Dave that those are like, I'd want to do both.
And the other thing is the garden tour is 2 days, it's the 28th and 29th. So if somebody wants to do both but not split their focus,
So Josh, your concern was that would pull artists away from one or the other.
So about half of our artists, this is a rough number, I can get the actual data, but about half of our artists, I think, were local artists. And I know, 100% of the artists that participate in the Garden Walk are local artists. And,
Correct.
I can name at least half a dozen that I know did, and I don't know, if they would prefer one to the other. I don't know how that decision would go. I don't like deciding without FHI that we may take some of their artists and make their events more difficult. I would at least like them to be part of that decision, if it's going to affect them.
I would like to
that.
call on an audience member for feedback if possible.
Sure.
Bobby, you help with FHI and the Secret Garden Walk and getting some of the artists, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I pulled from local artists, yeah. At one point, Franklin Heritage came to Creative Council to ask who that pool of people was, and that's kind of where we started. I don't know, I don't know the answer to that question.
Would it, because you essentially are printing like maps to give to people to walk around.
correct.
Would that affect things if an artist participates on one day versus the other? Is that two maps that are being created? Is that a map that says
It would just,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
from
whatever?
my perspective, it would just say artist is available only on Sunday. On Saturday, visit them at the whatever booth or. Correct,
They were musicians as well.
correct.
And again, you can expand and go ask somebody in Indy to come and paint or, a musician. That just happens to be who we pulled from in the first place because we knew them well. And they said, sure. I don't know, it would take a coordination, but that was my first thought. I would go to both.
Yeah.
I'm in Franklin. Oh my gosh, I could go on a garden tour and I could see art on Main Street, so. Yeah, it's just, it's the problem Franklin has. We're really popular right now and it's this little pool of people making it happen. So, that's a good thing. We need more artists out there.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll get more musicians.
Yeah.
I think having the musicians out through the garden walk would be amazing. And then having the art on Saturday on North Main, and then Sunday, they could expand out too if they so choose. Keep in mind also, this will affect Canvas Clash, because Canvas Clash will be that Friday night. I know that's a Discover Downtown Franklin event too. But it'll be done in coordination. We already know that there is a wedding on the 27th at the Elks, so that's going to require us to find another location for Canvas Clash for that Friday night. We've got a couple thoughts, so we're just trying to mull that around and figure out if we did it on the 28th and we did that one that night or something like that. So we can keep you guys up to date on that. But it sounds like, do you feel like the majority of you guys feel like that moving it to the 28th is a good, like a first option? Obviously, this is not a decision because it's got to be with DDF and FHI.
Has Danny expressed any sort of opinion?
He thought that moving it to the 28th would be good, that there would be some good ways to complement and partner with FHI. He talked about even doing, if we had a booth for FHI on Main Street, that they could use that if they wanted to. I know Jamie generally likes to have things up underneath the marquee, which is great. We could make that work as well. But trying to complement either way. The 14th, which is the weekend before, there is an art fair that's in South Bend. I don't know anything about it, but Danny said it's pretty popular, and it is also on Zap. So they would be pulling from these same people, so the 14th makes me a little nervous. Then that does bring it up to the 7th, so that's like 2 weeks earlier than we planned. And obviously, the earlier we get with that, the less time we have to prepare, so don't want to move too far, but I do think the general consensus from DDF, and I feel like from this body, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we definitely do not want to move it out of June. We want to keep it as close as possible.
And I'll reiterate what I'm sure Josh is thinking here, that if we do move it this year, please, let's solidify the date.
Had no intention.
I know there was no intention.
There was, yeah.
I know
this
there was no
just like-
intention, but this will be the,
Talbot
fourth
Street
different date?
changed? Did
Talbot
that-
Street changed theirs. Yes, that's exactly what happened. They changed theirs because when we originally double-checked this last fall, it was clear. They were not on this weekend. So they changed theirs on us, and I mean, that's their prerogative, obviously.
And I don't know if this makes any difference in talking about recruiting artists for the walk, but several of the artists last year said, I wish this could be a 2-day thing. That was their comment always, so I don't know.
Oh, well, that's true.
I don't know if they can parlay that into something else.
I don't know if Ethos has grown to the point that it can do that yet, but I
No,
think
I'm
that
talking
that's
about
a-
if it were the same weekend as the Garden Walk.
Then maybe they could do something on Sunday
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Secret Garden. Yeah.
Franklin's got itself a 2-day, 3-day, potentially, art weekend,
Yeah,
keeping out-of-towners in town.
Exactly.
Hotels and their restaurants.
Yep.
I mean, I've always thought, because I've been to other towns, they go all weekend, some of them go all week, so I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we've got ourselves a weekend where we start with Campus Clash and we've got Garden Walk on Sunday. And the library has their next artist at JCPL today, well, there's gonna be the day after Ethos, and that's being good, so. But, potentially, we could have arty things and gardening things going on all day long.
gardening is an art, so, yeah.
We'll just take donation, and already these organizations are doing that.
All right, so,
And gives
seems
us-
like we've got a consensus.
We've got a consensus. We can give back a recommendation, which is what Danny was needing, wanting to know from you guys. I mean, obviously, that's a weekend that we will need to be helping with volunteers and things too. That's the other piece of it, is the Garden Walk needs volunteers, and this will need volunteers, and we just don't want to totally burn people out.
Is this ultimately a Discover Downtown Franklin decision? Like, we don't vote to move Ethos, they do, right?
At the end of the day, right now, it is still theirs, yeah.
Okay,
We're a
and-
partner, though.
And we just
so-
have to, reiterate the idea that we'll still support it monetarily,
Yeah.
no matter what date it moves to? Is that
If that
what
is
we're doing?
the decision
Okay.
of this body, yes.
All right, should we move on at this point, Dave?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah, I will definitely, we'll be getting in touch with Rob and Jamie as soon as they get back, because that's kind of the piece we're waiting on. We've heard, we've got DDF's thoughts, and we needed your guys' thoughts, and so now we need to see how it works with them. Again, that's another thing that I'll make sure I keep you guys up to date, and I'll email you guys out any new information. So,
All right, next is old business. I don't see any old business, so then we can move on to the last part of new business, which was Art Walk for First Fridays,
yeah.
April 4th.
So Danny's not here, but as part of the First Fridays that Discover Downtown Franklin has been doing, they've been doing the themes they're trying to do different themes every month, and it's turning out to be pretty cool. And the one for April is an art walk. So what they Danny had been envisioning, Danny and Jen, and the programming committee, or promotions committee, was looking at, we're having some connections with some of the local businesses, maybe having some artists at their shops doing things. Obviously, we will have music out, live music out at different places and things like that. So just wanted to let you guys know that was kind of the theme, that it would be kind of an art walk evening. And if you have any interest in participating, or if you know of artists that would participate, we need to get their information as soon as possible. And Danny is going to be reaching out to the businesses. He is out of town this week, but when he gets back, he's going to be reaching out to the local businesses to see who would like to do something. The other thought is, if we even, as PAC, if it's a nice night, we could put our tent out and have a booth out somewhere. If that's something that you guys would be interested in doing, it's 5 to 8, so we would just need, a couple volunteers to help with having our booth out. But that would be kind of a cool way to promote art in Franklin too.
And the artists would display, or they'd be in practice?
I had a conversation with Danny and Jen,
Okay,
very impromptu, and I think that's still,
still to be
Being decided,
Yeah.
TBD.
I get the idea that it may be both.
Oh,
I don't want to speak for them, but I would imagine it
Okay.
probably the comfort level of the artist and how they want to do that.
Sounds
It may
right.
get the space that they are
Right.
in, but
Gotcha.
that is something that's definitely been brought up.
All right.
So yeah, so if you guys will just let me know, anybody that's interested in that and what your thoughts are, I would really appreciate hearing that.
All right, our next meeting will most likely be April 10th. If we need to call an emergency, March 13th, we'll do so. So mark that on your calendars. Committee meeting dates, community art folks are meeting right after this meeting at the space. Programming will meet February 20th, 8 a.m. at Coffee House 5. Then again, March 20th at 8 a.m. So anything else before we entertain a motion?
Oh, yeah, I actually do. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm glad I just made my notes. The mayor mentioned to everyone at the last meeting that he had asked the Mayor's Youth Council to do the generator that is now in place out there. So they have, hang on a second, let me find it here. Nope. Good Lord.
Came up for like a second.
I know, I don't know what it's doing. Now where did it go?
Now you got two of those.
And now I got 2 of those, I don't have the right one.
Duplicate it again and we'll have 4. Then
Yeah, let's
we'll
not.
hang them in the alley.
Let's do it this way. Yeah. It's now upside down, but you get the idea. Anyway, this is the rough idea. I tried to have this come out. The state of the city is today, I do not have my normal equipment in here. That's why the podium is gone and everything is gone. So, and my desktop wasn't working this morning. And so it's, you guys know me and technology. I'm just like the guru of it, aren't I? Anyway, imagine this turned the other way, but this is kind of their rough first start look at what they're doing. So it would be Franklin in block letters on the front with flowers around it. This is a terrible rendering, obviously, but one of the things that Taylor McHenry reached out and asked me is if we could help them find an artist that can kind of help with some direction and guidance on this and kind of help them kind of flesh this out, if this is an idea, and help them figure out how to make this artistically look as good as possible. So if anybody is interested in working with, why is that shaking? Good Lord. Anybody interested in working in the Mayor's Youth Council, let me know. They really need some artistic guidance. And I originally thought that they were going to be having assistance from their art teacher. I don't think that's happening now. I'm not sure what's going on. This was just a quick email that she sent me, and so I'm just relaying and saying if anybody's interested in helping out, we would greatly appreciate it. So, that's all I have.
If we're doing other business, other things to talk about, we're having our local artist show at Generation Art Frame on the 22nd. We'll have a lot of local artists. I would say if there is any way for those artists to get any information about anything that we've talked about, Ethos or the Art Walk or anything like that, I'm happy to distribute that. We've got around 50 artists. Not all of them will be there, but a lot of them will. And I could try to get Or if there's anything else that we want to ask them questions about or whatever, if anything can get made up, I'm happy to
What
pass
date
that
again?
along.
What date?
It's Saturday, the 22nd. It's noon to 4 is when the artist will be there, but like I said, if there's anything I can give them, I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy to email along to them as well, but it's always
Yeah.
nice to get that stuff in their hands.
Well, Danny will be back next week, and we'll be able to talk to Rob and Jamie this weekend, so hopefully we can get something to you pretty quick.
All right, anything else?
I have an announcement.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to look at my phone because we're not on the 20th anymore. Barry Barnes is the next artist at JCPL. And his exhibition and first program is the 21st of June at Park Pleasant Ranch. It's a Sunday.
21st is a Saturday.
And he will also offer a couple or 3 programs at the library as well.
All right, I'm sure you can find more information if you're interested on the library's website. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
So
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
Second
Second.
by Dave. All right, we are adjourned.